from Huntington. It's Friday night. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. It is an interesting Friday here. Not quite sure what to do with the weather. Looks like it wants to rain, then it rains, then it gets nice, then it rains, then it gets less nice, then it rains. It's not snowing, so I guess that's a good thing. But the sun was out when I was coming to shul this evening, and I guess it's going to rain this weekend. So that's all right. It's all right. It doesn't matter what the weather is. It's really nice in here. We're climate controlled, in case you were wondering. That's keeping you away. Don't worry. We'll turn the air conditioning on or off, depending on what you want. And I don't know. Turn it on. I don't know. All right. Judy, you want to eventually for us?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to start welcoming Shabbat with some candles. It's the rabbis give us this. This is not one that's from the Torah, believe it or not. The rabbis give us this mitzvah.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Oh, that's the same one that didn't work last
I'll
time.
never get one of those lights. We'll get your bag.
No, we have. It's just that. It's just that.
I don't have any matches.
Those that would give me a migraine. We would be very short in services tonight.
Oh.
Big what? They've got some right there. Judy ought to have some fire from lunch yesterday. Light it.
It just,
There, all the way back there.
it was good.
Enjoy sitting on the back row. I guess so.
We won't see that one again.
Make sure we should test these before.
It works.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let there be light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
All right, let's continue. Thank you, Judy.
Mhm.
Let's continue with responsive reading on page 9. Page 9. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
Understand wonder for the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we care nothing for the rights of others.
Sabbath, we remember that justice is our duty. Better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace.
Amen.
All right, let's continue. We'll transport ourselves to the mystical city of Sfat in the north of Israel in the Galil, one of the most beautiful parts of the country. Lots of trees, lots of hills. I think if you look just over the hills, I think it's Lebanon, you see. Not 100% sure. I try not to worry. But Tzfat is where the mystics from Spain wound up after the Spanish expulsion in 1492, and give us what we consider Kabbalah, our mysticism. And Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz, one of the great Mekubalim, gave us Lecha Dodi. Page 20. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Shamo b'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmi'ahanu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemaho echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor ha'bracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava, Tchila Likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Mikdash melech yirmelucha, Kumitzihi mitocha fecha, Rav lahak shevet b'yemecha lecha, V'hu yachamol alaychem la, Lecha dodi likrat chala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Hitna ari me'afar kumi, Livshi bigdei tifarte chami, Al yad ben ishai beit halachmi, Korva el nafshi ge'ala, Lecha dodi likrat chala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Hitorori, Ki orek kumihi ori, shir daberi, Kavod Adonai alayk nigla, Lecha dodi likrat chala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lo teboshi v'lo tikomi, Mahatish tochachi matehemi, Bachyechesu aniyeheyami, B'nihit natayir al tila, Lecha dodi likrat chala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, V'hayu l'shimsa shohosaich, V'rahacha kruhu kol mevalayich, Yasis alayich Elohayich, Kim soscha hatan al kala, Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Yamin usmol tihi frotzi, Viet Adonai ta'aritzi, Al yad ben ish ben partzi, B'ni hismecha v'nagila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'sola, Tochem unei am segula, Boi chala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Page 22, some verses from Psalm 92 to Psalm for Shabbat. And let's read the outdented English paragraph together. A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand. Tzadika tahar yifrach, ke'erez balvanon yiskeh shetulim bebeit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. O Jinu Biseba Dishenim Bera'ananim Yihiyu Lehagi Ki Ashar Adonai Suri Velo Avlatabo. Page 24. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashari, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Baruch hu ni l'shalom malachei ashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Seitchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. We welcome Shabbat. Shabbat is with us. We are on page 146. The beginning of the evening service. Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Page 147. Let's read together the English at the bottom of the page. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, the years vanish. But your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ama'ariv Arabim. The second bracha before Shema. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Havta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu B'shachbeinu u'vkumeinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Ki heim chayenu v'yorech yameinu v'yorech yameinu Uvahem negeh yomam v'layla yomam v'layla V'ahavat techal tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohel amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. V'ahavta ha'et Adonai Elohecha b'chol vavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'eleh Asher Anochi Mitzavecha Hayom Al Vavecha Vishinantam Levanecha Vidibarta Bam Vishivtecha V'Veitecha Uvlektecha Vaderech Uveshokbecha Uvkunecha Ukshartam Leot Al Yadecha V'Hayu Latotafot Beineinecha Uchtavtam Al Mezuzot Beitecha Uvisharecha Leman Tizkeruhu Va'asitem Et Kol Mitzvotai Vitem Kedoshim Leloechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Be'eretz Mitzrayim Liot Lachem Lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. 151, let's read responsibly in the middle. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasping, and perfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, not good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
We and everyone will we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learn God's present pains, time, and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
Top of 152. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nohora tehilot, osef beheleh, malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe, zeili anu v'amru, Adonai yimloch Leolam vaed, v'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, u'ga'alo mi'at chazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai, ga'al Yisrael. 153 at the top. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. And let's read together in the English. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft, evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 154, Vishamru. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני Asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot et hashabat לדורותם בריתו עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתו עולם. We are at the Amidah, the central prayer of just about all of our services. And so we'll chant the opening 3 pages together, and then we'll go silently, and then we'll pick up with some readings after we finish the silent Amidah. But let's begin together on page 155. Adonai sifatai tiftach u'v'yagi tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach u'v'yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot L'imahot, U'mei Goel Pneihem, L'man Shemo B'ahava, Melech Oser Moshiach Magi, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Metim Atarav L'Hoshia, Morid Hatahal, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechaye Metim B'Rachamim Rabim, Zohomech Noflim V'Rofech Oholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Limi, Umechayeh, Umatzniach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh Amen. Let's turn back. Page 160. Let's read together the English in the middle of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat. A little bit of hoda'ah, a little bit of thanksgiving and some gratitude. Lots to be grateful for this week. My nephew, who is in, I guess this is his last year of junior high, was 3 years in the Honor Society this past week, and he was acknowledged for that. So well done, Nathaniel, and keep it up. Lots of other good things I came across, and finally they arrived, a number of rare Yiddish books. Very excited. A history of Chassidut, a history of Yiddish, and some fiction. I mean, it's all good. It is all good. So you know what I'll be reading this weekend. And just general things to be grateful for. A nice day. All right, let's read responsively the top of page 163. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
With the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature's harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
All right, we'll close out our Amidah, as always, with a prayer for peace. In the evening, it is Shalom Rav, top of 164. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Praise are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevorech et amo Yisrael, v'shalom. Middle of page 253. We'll continue with the Mishaberach. Please keep anyone who needs a little extra healing this weekend in your heart and close to your thoughts. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor habracha Laimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imoteinu Mekor Avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. All right, let's turn to page 258 and 259. And I'll ask you all to read together at the top the prayer for our congregation.
First of all, being made children of the community, learning passions from us, love of Torah, devotion to prayer, support of the needy. May we guide our integrity and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach endure share blessing with satisfaction. And may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless the fruits of wisdom and understanding. And may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy.
Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levatcha b'yira na'avod. And the paragraph that begins, O guardian, for our country.
The guardian of life and liberty.
May our nation
Teach us to be thankful for what we have, sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and the work of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our countries. Grant our wishes, wisdom, and forbearance. May government justice and compassion. Help us to appreciate one another. Respect in many ways that we may serve. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife. And our country be sound body and spirit. Amen.
Shalu shalom Yerushalayim, Yishlayu ohavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Shabashamayim, Sur Yisrael v'golo. Barech et Medinat Yisrael. Reishit Tzmichat Geulatenu. Hagen Aleha V'yevrat Chasdecha. Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha. Ushlach Orcha V'amitecha L'Rasheha. Sareha V'yotzeha. V'takneim Be'etza Tova Milfanecha. V'natata Shalom Ba'aretz. V'simchat Olam Liyoshveha. V'nomar Amen. All right, friends. This week, another double portion. Last week it was Tazria Metzora. This week it's Acharei Mot Kedoshim. And Acharei Mot refers to after the death of Aharon's two sons, Nadav and Avihu, who brought strange fire into the tabernacle and were killed by God. And that was back in Parshat Shmini. Aharon is told in this parsha that he is the only one who can approach the Holy of Holies, the inner sanctum of the Mishkan. No one else, not another priest, not even Moshe himself, can get that close. We are given the Yom Kippur rituals in this week's parsha. It's a day of fasting, but it's more in the Hebrew, in the biblical Hebrew. It's a day of afflicting our souls. And one of the ways that we afflict our souls is that we don't eat, or we don't drink, we don't wear shoes of leather, or anything that is of comfort. Right? It's not meant to be an easy day. People want it to be an easy day. It's not meant to be an easy day. Not only in terms of the fasting, that it's also meant to give us a taste of what it's like not to have a lot of food. It's meant to make us aware of people who we are hungry on Yom Kippur because we choose not to eat. People are hungry because they have no food to eat. And so even back in biblical times, there was that idea that we need to be aware of the suffering within our communities if we're going to be a holy community. On Yom Kippur, we don't do any work, and we seek forgiveness. We seek forgiveness from God. Which is really easy because you just show up on Yom Kippur and ask God, and God forgives us. But if we have outstanding issues with others, God cannot forgive those until we are forgiven by the people whom we have wronged. And Yom Kippur has a special name. It's called Shabbat Shabbaton, the Sabbath of Sabbaths. Right after Acharei Mot, we move into Parshat Kedoshim, which is probably one of the most important parshiot in the entire Torah. It gives us the holiness code, the code of the ritual and ethical practices that are going to separate us from the rest of the nations of the world and help us to be, as the prophet Isaiah says, an or legoyim, a light unto the nations. And what's so revolutionary about this code is not that it has a ritual aspect, and it's not that it has an ethical aspect. It's just that they are together. All the other codes of law in the ancient Middle East, you had a separate code for the ethics and you had a separate code for the ritual. Our Torah, our holiness code, weaves them together. So you'll have a command about the sacrifice followed by not bearing grudges. You'll have a command to love your neighbor, and then you'll have a statement about the holidays. Right? It's not one or the other, it's both. And just a handful of the mitzvot that come out of the holiness code, we're told to honor our parents. We're not commanded to love them. We're only commanded to love twice in the Bible. Well, not the Bible, in the Torah. One is this week, where we're commanded to love our neighbor. And the other one is we're commanded to love God. We're told to observe Shabbat and the Chagim, no idolatry. We're to offer sacrifices to God, to leave the corners of the field uncut for the poor, no stealing, no unfair decisions in courts of law, no hate, no grudges, no vengeance. And one of the most famous of the verses, V'ahavta l'ra'echa kamocha, right? You are to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And the Hillel, Rabbi Hillel in the Gemara has a very famous comment about that, where somebody asks him to give us all of Judaism while he stands on one foot. And he says, what is hurtful to you, don't do to someone else. And that's basically love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as you yourself want to be loved. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. There are many different ways of looking at that particular verse. Basically, what it means is, be nice to the people around you. I forget which comedian who asked, but what happens if your neighbor's a real nudnik? I don't know. You have to practice. Right? God is holy, is what God says to us, and we should be holy as well. Lots of mitzvot in this week's parshiot. In Acharei Mot, we had 2 positive and 26 negative. And in Kedoshim, we have 13 positive. Or is that 17? No, that's 13 and 38 negative, for a total of 79 total mitzvot this week, bringing our number up to 262 out of the 613. All right, so there's too much going on in the world that keeps me up at night. So I'm going to complain about a first world problem to start. A couple of weeks ago, Netflix crushed me. Right, Netflix, my go-to place to watch TV. They crushed me because they removed one of my all-time favorite TV shows, a show out of Israel called Shtisel, which is three seasons of life in Mea Sharim in Jerusalem. And it follows the trials and tribulations of a Haredi family in Jerusalem. Now, what's so nice about that show is there are a couple of scenes that take place in a bookstore, and I spent hundreds of shkalim in that bookstore. There are places where I watch the actors walking, and I have friends who live in that neighborhood. It's what made the show so interesting is that it was not a smear job on the ultra-Orthodox. Right? It was, almost everything that comes out about the ultra-Orthodox, either from Hollywood or even from Israel, is often a smear job. a year or so ago, we had the series Unorthodox, about the young woman who left her Hasidic community and what happened to her. Well, I mean, the show was garbage. The book was much better. The book was much more truthful, and the TV show really just wanted to make the ultra-Orthodox look horrible. Well, this is not Shtisel, right? We get to look into the lives of the ultra-religious. But in Shtisel, Judaism wasn't the focus. I cannot remember a scene that took place in a synagogue. I cannot remember a scene that took place on a holiday. Now, there's Judaism in it. The people are making brachot. They look like traditional Jews. But, Akiva, the main, one of the main characters, is having difficult finding love, and he doesn't like the way matchmakers work. Right? But he doesn't leave the community. His father is kind of a curmudgeon, trying to negotiate the 21st century as an observant Jew. Akiva's sister is trying to figure out in the first season where her husband went. He was supposed to go away to work, and she gets word back that he left behind his tefillin and his talis, shaved his beard, cut off his payas, and hooked up with as they put it, a shiksa, a non-Jewish woman. A little bit later, I mean, it unfolds, and it is a wonderful, wonderful series. It was only on for 3 seasons, but it's the daily life and the family life of the ultra-Orthodox. It's in Hebrew and in Yiddish. So if you don't like the Hebrew, you'll get the Yiddish. But Netflix had it, which doesn't have it anymore, but you can watch it with subtitles. Basically, Shtisel was a highbrow soap opera, right? It really was. But they got the details right about the ultra-Orthodox and their lives. Like I said, it wasn't a smear job. It was a warm-hearted kind of look at a group of people that get a lot of bad press. Because they live in these little enclaves in Jerusalem and in other places. They don't like outsiders, and they're very protective of their particular flavors of Judaism. But it was nice to see something that wasn't looking to point out all the faults. This was not A Stranger Among Us. This was not Price Above Rubies. This was not anything that was titillating or even remotely scandalous. In fact, legend has it that there were ultra-Orthodox in Israel who were streaming it on their computers because they don't have Netflix. They won't get Netflix, but they were able to stream it. And the theme song from the show is a favorite at Hasidic and ultra-Orthodox weddings. So go figure. So as soon as they took away Shtisel, and I walked around in mourning for a little while. On the other day, my Shtisel was gone, but Netflix dropped another ultra-Orthodox series. I was not nearly as excited about this one because it is an 8-part thriller based in the biggest diamond trading business in the world, that is Antwerp. And it's called Rough Diamonds. It follows several generations of the Wolfson family and how they struggle with their struggles with modernity as it has changed the trade, right? So, like I said, it's a thriller. So there's a lot of action. There's a lot of fights going on. But the Hasidic world, this is actually a Hasidic world. The Shtisel was not for the Hasidim. They were Litvaks. They were yeshiva Jews, not Hasidim. Here in Rough Diamonds, it is a Hasidic family. And it shows the internal family tensions, unlike a Shtisel did. The main character, Noach, left his family and became, secular, but he returns to the family for his brother's funeral and gets pulled into the Albanian mafia and money laundering and diamond trade and drugs and all of that. So you know that this is an actual, this is a thriller, right? And the Haredi world, the Hasidic world, is almost just a backdrop. It's like Shtisel, gives us an inside view, but almost as an afterthought. We see the people at home going about their business, not anything unlike what we do at home, right? They sit down, they eat, they argue with each other, they try to make sense of the world. But it's not set in a synagogue. It's not set in a religious yeshiva. It's set in the very modern city of Antwerp with very, very modern and very, very human Jews. Now, I'll tell you, there are tons of stereotypes. The Jews are the ones you go to for the money. The Jews are the ones who, the backroom trades. They have, one of the non-Jewish characters is the district attorney, and she wants to get behind the Jewish cabal in diamonds, right? I mean, I expected it, right? I expected it. But again, it's the details that matter. The Judaism is portrayed not as something that's arcane, not as something that is foreign, not as something that is, filled with ridiculous rules, but it's something that helps people make sense of their daily lives. And in this particular series, it is the moral compass. It keeps people moving in the right direction. It keeps people wanting to do good, to help their communities, and to perform the mitzvot. So, there's two, I'm recommending both of them to you. You could still find Shtisel. That's more of a warm-hearted kind of drama. This one is a thriller. There's lots of language and some violence. But both of the shows have their flaws. But it's Judaism shown much more nuanced, much more detailed, and much more human than any other shows that I've seen in a very long time. Rough Diamonds is in Flemish and Yiddish. So if you don't understand Flemish, which is closer to German than I thought, but it's also in Yiddish and an interesting dialect of Yiddish. And the singer Dudu Fisher, if you know the name Dudu Fisher, he plays the patriarch of the family. Again, there's lots going on in the world that I could shake my fist at, but I thought the fact that the Haredim were finally getting some positive light in major series, that I'll recommend them. You can take a look at them. Hopefully there'll be more, and there's supposed to be an American version of Shtisel, and the co-creator of Friends is part of it, and I shudder to think at what they're going to do to my Shtisel. It's called Emmitt, but it's spelled Emmitt, and people have been pronouncing it Emmett as the name. No, the word is Emmis, and it means truth. But that's Hollywood for you. I'm sure there'll be, 6 Haredi men living in an apartment that they can't afford, and cracking jokes. But I don't know. All right, Maury, what time is it?
Kadoosh.
It's time for Kiddush. It is time for Kiddush. Time for Kiddush. That's for Shabbat morning. Shabbat morning. Vayerbi boker yom hashishi, vayachulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam, vayachal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa, vayavarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i, Vayikadesh oto, kivo Shabbat, mikol melachto, asher bara Elohim la'asod. Sabri, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon inchilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh bereshit. Ki hu yom tefillah L'mikrae kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'acharta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava u'ratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. Begin closing out our evening service on page 282. Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'chol, l'ateit gedula liyotzeh reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, Umishtachavim umodim, Nifnei melech, Malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu noteh shamayim v'yoser haaretz, Umoshav yikaro b'shamayim imah, Ushminatu zo, v'goltei meromi. U Eloheinu Einod, Emet Malkeinu Efes Ulato, Kakatu B'Torato, V'yadata Hayom V'hashemota, Elef Ha'mecha, Ki Adonai Hu Elohim, B'shamayim V'ma'al, V'yaharetz, mitachach eino. Kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'nehemar, v'hayam Adonai, l'melech al kol ha'aretz. Vayom hahu, yihyeh Adonai echad. U'shemo echad. This week we begin the Shloshim for Samuel J. Bro, who passed away on the 18th. This week we observe the following yahrzeits: Lillian G. Cohen, Marjorie Lerner's mother; Sylvia Spadell, Sally Fallon's mother; David Feinberg, Eve's relative; Nathan Robert Baker, Kitty's husband, David's father; Leah Mendel, Max's wife, mother of Ruth Mendel Shradsky; Beatrice Geringer, Jacob Shradsky, Harold's father; Herman Silberstein, Jack Hyman's uncle; David Baker, Janet's husband, son of Edna and Nathan; Irene Island, Ed's sister. Lena Friedman, Pauline's cousin. Israel Greenstein, Irving's grandfather, Harry's father. Daisy Macinta Gross, wife of IT, mother of Roger, Stephen, and Marvin. Hannah Miller, B. Geringer's mother. Otto Aller, husband of Anita Herbert Arena. Lily E. Finn, relation to Minna Poland. Julius Friedman, Pauline's cousin, husband to Lena. Leo Shradsky, Harold's relative. Isidore Shradsky, Harold's brother. Sal Cohen, David Cohen's brother, Marilyn's brother-in-law. Carlos Sweeney, Scott Murphy's grandfather. Mildred Wormser, Victor's wife, mother of Sam and Ron. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us all, and may they always rest in peace.
Amen.
Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 294. Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabba, Ba'alma, Tigrach, Yeruteh, K'yamlik Machuteh, B'chayechon, V'yomechon, V'chayei T'kol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalav, Yizman, Kariv, V'inru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba, B'barach, Le'olam, B'lamei Maya. Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yithar, Yitramam, Yitnased, Yithadar, Yithaled, Yithalal, Shmei, Yisha, Brithu, Le'lam, Yinkol, Birchata, B'shivata, Tushbachata, V'nekamata, Da'amiram, Ba'alma, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shlomah, Rabba, Min Shemaya, B'chayim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom Birumav, V'yaseh Shalom, Aleinu al Kol Yisrael, V'imru.
Amen.
Amen. All right, friends, a couple of quick announcements before Adon Olam on 3/21. Service tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and then again Sunday morning at 9 a.m. The raffle is this Sunday, so please come out and see if your number gets pulled or if it doesn't get pulled, or see if you're a winner. And that's pretty much all day Sunday.
We can still use more help.
And Marilyn says we can still use more help. And so we don't want to disappoint Marilyn.
Of course. No.
Not at all, not even a little bit. I don't want to disappoint Marilyn, so you don't want to either. So that's Sunday. Wednesday will be Yiddish choir. And then next Sunday, a week from this Sunday, is the congregational meeting. That would be May 7th, 6 p.m. Please come. This is not something you blow off. This is where you select the synagogue leadership for the next 2 years. And you can voice your opinion on how you think things are going. So please, this is not something you want to miss. That's next Sunday at 6 p.m. And then a little bit further down the line, on the 25th of May, the Federated is bringing in a Friends of the IDF program and lunch. That's 5/21, May 21st at noon. And look for the RSVP in your emails. So there's lots going on, and please join us for any and all of it. All right. Let us conclude our service this evening with Adon Olam. 3:21. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'Acharei Kiklot HaKol Levahado Yimloch Lohora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yiyeh V'tifara V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni L'hamshilo L'hachbira B'li Reshit B'li Tachlit V'lo ha'oz v'ham Yisra v'hu Eli v'chai go'ali v'tzur hevli b'yeit tzahara v'hu nisi umanosli minat kosi b'yom ekra b'yado akiv ruchi b'yeit shan b'yaha'ira v'im ruchi g'viyati Adonai li velo ira. All right, it looks like we have some people saying hello to us via the interwebs or the intertubes. And what is this? I don't want this. Let's see if I can get that out of the way. No, thank you. I'll miss out. There's Mom. Shabbat Shalom to all from Rabbi's mom, Cliff, and Nathaniel. There's my nephew from rainy Pennsylvania, wishing all a peaceful weekend and a good week ahead. Thank you, Mom, Cliff, and Nathaniel. Donna Wilson, good Shabbos to all. Thank you, Donna. David Johnson says Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, David. Taylor McIntyre says Shabbat Shalom with a smiley. And thank you, Taylor, as well. All right, friends, we have lots going on, so please join us. I want everybody to have a Shabbat Shalom and a good Shabbos. And please, please be careful out there.
Amen.
Shabbos.